I'm Dr. Blessing. I'm Dr. Blessing. I've been a speech therapist for 20 years. Um, I work in a variety of settings, and every time I'm here, it's always a good time with chatting with you ladies and talking it up. I've worked in the school system. I've worked in skilled nursing, private practice, home health, acute care, LTech. So I've had a lot of different experiences working in our field. I, you know, I'm in speech, but I'm also a pastor. And so right now I'm in seminary school. And so I'm enjoying that. I would probably say what I like to do most is I working with kids and working with the adults, but working in the schools and working in home health. Those are the settings that I enjoy the most. And not just any specific school, but I like working in inner city. Um, I like that. I like working with different schools in the inner city. Let's see. I graduated from Western Michigan University and in 2005. And I grew up in Kalamazoo, and my doctorate is actually in educational leadership. And so I've had the opportunity of working with different nonprofits and not helping, leading boards in that capacity. And I do a lot of community work, and so that's really important to me. I have a program for youth called Cookie Crumble Conversations, and helping youth helping you learn what to do when life crumbles, and so that's been really fun developing that, and that's a little bit about me. So yeah, I'm excited to talk with everyone this evening just about how to empower parents. I have just been able to glean and have my different experiences, but really on the business level, talking about the importance of empowering. I mean, we know that it's important, but it also is important as well. And sometimes I think that's something that we skip over, but that is a big contributing factor that can really um, take your business in the right direction or go left. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. So I will hand it back over to you, Miss Terry.
Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So now we can go ahead and start with the presentation.
Okay. I will share my screen.
Okay.
Just a moment. Oh, there we go. Just get it in the trying to find the little presentation thing. Where did it go? Let's see. I don't see it. Well, oh well. You know how you can have it go into presentation? I just don't see where that is, but we'll just start here. So, anyways, how many of you all, what settings, as far as you all that are on the line, what settings are you all in?
Well, for me, I'm in early intervention,
Okay.
which I provide home care for children 0 to 3, and I also
Hmm.
work in the college in which I train students how to become speech and language pathologists for early intervention and early childhood 0 to 5.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to share their setting?
Hi, my name is Deanna Duncan. Currently I'm working with my grandson,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to figure out how to get him therapy and speech in the home. And so I was referred by someone to attend tonight.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm a grandparent trying to look out for my grandson who's 4, so he's
Okay.
early. I mean young. So.
Well, come on, Grandma. I'm not mad at that. Somebody got to look out for the baby. So
Yes.
good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. I am Patrice. Miss Terry is my mentor that I met through in Basla, which I am very grateful for. And I work in the birth to three or with the birth to three population as well with a nonprofit organization.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share?
Hi, my name is Zina, and I'm currently in an elementary school in the Bronx.
Hey, the Bronx. My husband's from the Bronx, so I have to. My husband is from the Bronx, so Terry, she knows that. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing the settings. And so, oh, God. It's not allowing me to move to my next slide. Let's see. There we go. Look you guys up here. All right. So, as I said before, this topic is just very near and dear to my heart. I have the opportunity. Last year, I used to work in the Gary Public School. Well, it's a corporation now, but I worked in that district. And as you know, when you're working in that population, there's a lot of challenges that come. And so within that area, of course, there are nearby clinics, right? I started working, but necessarily in Gary, there's only one other clinic, and there's one clinic there. And so there is, I don't know if it's just the area, but there's a high population of nonverbal children in that area. Like I have never seen it. And I mean, I know that you all know when I look back at from the time when I was in undergrad and grad school and first learning about just nonverbal children or even with autism, and just to look at the amount of the numbers for children and how common it is. It wasn't as common, I would say, over 20 years, not like the way that it is now. And so I was working in this clinic and I started noticing in this clinic, like it had physical therapy, it had speech therapy, it had occupational therapy. The building was phenomenal. It was the way the setup was really nice. And there was just always a lot of cancellations. And I think that was just, um, and I would just be amazed because there were a wide variety of children with a wide variety of from mild to moderate to severe. But it had a pretty high case of severe children, children that had severe diagnosis, right? And so I was just really, I would go to work and then there would be cancellations. And I'm like, wow, and so it just got me thinking like, wow, you guys have a lot of cancellations, you know, and of course you can't tell people how to run their business. You can just take observations of things. And so, we're going to put a pin right there, but that was my observation. That's what got all of this really going. And the questions like goodness, there is a huge population of children that need speech therapy. Like the need is there. And there were just so many cancellations. A lot of the parents were younger. A lot of the kids that I would see, they wouldn't, they would come in, and a lot of times when I would talk with the parents, it was like the kid had just started receiving services, and maybe the kid was like 5 years old or six, and we know the importance of early, identification in children getting therapy at a younger age, right? We know how that benefits children. And so I would, so I would see these children in the community, and then I would go to school, and some of these kids were also in speech therapy, right? And so I just want you all to keep that in mind. I'm taking you all somewhere. So my first slide is like, okay, so why parent involvement matters. Okay. And so my first point, of course, parents are children's first and most consistent teachers. Without the parents, we know they can't get to the services. Without the parents, the parents are who they communicate with the most. This is who parents are most of the time. They know their children inside and out, or they're spending the most amount of time with their children. So we know that even if it's not the parent, whoever the caregiver is, whoever that first point of contact, and whoever that child spends the most amount of time with, it's really important, because this is where the communication interaction is going to begin, right? This is who they're going to be looking for to care for their needs. This is who they're going to be learning communication from. So we know, okay, that's important. Okay. Daily practice, we know that parent involvement is important because our children need daily practice, right? We know that, I've seen children, not just children, but even adults. They'll come to speech therapy, but most of the time when I get parents who are super involved and they do the work that I give them, they take the homework home, or they're coming back and asking me questions, and we're having these conversations. We know that involved parents, make a difference, because that's going to help the child to achieve their goals. Okay. And then empowerment increases confidence and connection. Okay, so why is it important to have, well, we all know it's important that parents are confident, that they have confidence in not only in their therapist, but they feel confident, right, as being that first line of contact when it comes to, language and learning. And then the connection piece is also important. It's not just the connection piece with the child and the parent, right? There's like this three-way thing. So it's important for like the parent, the child, and the clinician, right? As you develop these relationships with your clients, you're going to build connection. As connection is built, trust is built, intimacy is built, and walls come down, and you're able to, when you are connected, then the chances you're going to get the buy-in of the parent. Not just the buy-in of the parent, but the buy-in of the child. And so we need all of those components, because these are components that facilitate more engaging and richer, and more enriched therapy services, right? Which at the end of the day, that is going to result in just a better situation for our kids. Okay. I have kids who, they have that connection. They'll see me and they're like, Dr. B, hey, or they run up. You all know how that feeling is when you connect with a child and they see you. They may not even be in speech, but they'll come up and they'll hug you. Why? Because that connection is there. I was doing a virtual session with one of my kiddos, and it was time to get off of therapy, and she was pouting, and her aide had to tell her, come on, we can't stay in speech all day. And these are things, there has been trust built, right? There's a connection there, and the child is enjoying speech. And so this is what we want to have occur in our session. We don't just want it with the child, but we want the connection, and we want the confidence also in the parents, because this is the gatekeeper to what happens after they leave your session. And you all know how it is to work with a child and put your all into a child, right? I have a kid like that now that I can think of on top of my head. It's like I'm in the therapy session with them. I'm getting down. I'm doing my best work, and then I'm writing. I'm making assignments for that child to go home and to practice. And then then the next 2 weeks they come back, and I'm like, okay, you got your homework done? No homework. You all know what that feels like as a therapist, to where you're like, man, this child could make so much more improvement or progress if there was carryover at home. Okay. So what are the barriers? Okay. So I like to think that, you know, people will do, or parents or guardians will do the best for their children, right? That's what, in a perfect world, I'd like to think that. And so that's what I like to go into. That's what my first thought is, that parents will do, or guardians will do what's best for their children. Parents don't just wake up and say, hey, I just don't want to do this. Well, there are some situations where you may see that, but generally speaking, I would like to think that parents just don't wake up and say, hey, I'm taking them to speech therapy services, right? We're paying for this service, but I'm not going to do anything else to follow through so that so I can see a carryover in what my child is learning, and I can see those skills transfer over at the home. Okay. So what are some of these barriers? And I have some listed up, but if any of you all want to turn on your cameras, um, and chime in anytime, because this is a conversation. I'm here to give my presentation, but I'm also here to learn from you all, and for all of us to learn from each other. So please feel free to chime in. So limited time and busy schedules. That is definitely a barrier that comes to mind. And I know that's actually what one of my parents, they normally say, we've got so much homework, Dr. Blessing, we've got this. And I'm listening to what they're saying, and I'm like, okay. So when they started telling me the different things that are going on in their schedule, how busy it is, I'm like, okay, you know what? I am going to adjust. I am going to tweak the assignments I give them. I won't give them more than one assignment. I'll give them an assignment, and that assignment will be just a very simple assignment, not something that will be too heavy for them, because I want them engaged. I want them tapped in. I want them to do the assignment, right? So that they can get the benefit from it. So busy schedules and limited time. We all know we're all busy. Go ahead, Miss Terry.
Yeah, for me, I experienced the same thing, but I basically with my parents, I might go into like daily routines so
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel like they're overwhelmed, because the same
Mm-hmm.
you can learn from a book, you can learn from your natural environment. Especially, like, I would say, for instance, like bath time, the child doesn't know body parts, that's the best
Yes,
way to teach the body part.
absolutely.
And then dress up time is the best way to teach clothes. So the parents
Mm-hmm.
don't feel so overwhelmed. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you. When I do have parents who have busy schedules, I'll go right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just work on daily routines that they do, especially
Yes.
mealtime. If a child,
Yes.
you just label it to them and give it to them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I agree with you, Dr. Blessing.
Absolutely, because if you make it if someone feels, you all know how it feels when something feels like a chore. When something feels like a chore, you don't feel like doing it. So we have to take note of what our parents are going through, and give it to them in a way that's digestible. The message is not going to hit if we can't get their attention. If they are overwhelmed with, and they have multiple children and busy schedules, then that, okay, I'm going to have to tweak whatever I give them. Maybe I don't give them something every week. Maybe I give them something every other week, right? Um, and we all know the feeling of just feeling heavy and things like, life be life, and right? And so when you have a child with special needs, if you have a child, not just special needs, if you have a child that's getting speech therapy, those are multiple things added on the plate. Go ahead, Norma. I think you were going to say something. Oh, you're on mute. Uh-oh. No, I can't hear you. I don't know if I have to unmute
Hi.
her.
Yes.
Okay, there she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think my biggest two barriers are number one, the time, and also misinformation. I'm like
Yes.
a researcher. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm getting all these ideas. I have like a note in my phone with like 30,000 things to do. And then I see another video and everyone says, don't do any of those things. And I'm like, that's number one. And number two, I initially relied on the doctor. And they're like, oh, every kid is different. Wait a little time. And something told me, don't wait. So I sought out my own private speech pathologist. And she's been working with my 2-year old, now 3-year old. And it's like, people tell you, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, kids speak when they're ready and et cetera and et cetera. And I'm like, but especially for brown kids, we can't have any delays. We can't
Yeah.
be mediocre. We got to
Yeah.
be a step ahead. So I think that's also a barrier because the pediatrician kept telling me, oh, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. And in my heart, I felt like something was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you went with that, because it is early identification, getting our children the services that they need at an early age is pivotal. That's time. That's when the brain is most, is fresh. That's, you see what I'm saying? Those are their formative years, like the routines that parents are teaching their children, or the things that the children see, they're soaking that all in, regardless if a child is verbal or nonverbal, or, you know what I mean? No, regardless if a child has challenges or not. I always tell parents, and because I work with severe kids, very, very severe kids as well, that, and what I tend to see is like they're watching you. Just because your child doesn't communicate like other children doesn't mean that they're not taking in the information. Doesn't mean that them seeing you, that they have patterns too. So they're sponges. They're taking all of this in. But yeah, definitely there is a lack of, I would say, I understand what you're saying when you say one person says this and then something else says that. And in such a case, I applaud you for sticking with your gut. I, you know, Parents are the biggest advocates, caregivers, they're the biggest, or guardians, they're the biggest advocates for their children. If you think something is wrong, please, 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 keep advocating, because we see too many children where I see too many children, it's like 6 years old and they're just getting an evaluation and the child is nonverbal. 5 years old, 4 years old. And I'm like, how did this kid go to doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment and nobody referred them? And so I totally get what you're saying. Just hold on. I think I'll have some, there's some more information coming as we're talking. Other barriers to that parents face: feeling overwhelmed, and just like you said, being unsure where to start. I remember when my nephew was when we first started noticing maybe that he's having some speech delays, she would get on, okay, now, and you got a god sister, she would get on Google and then start typing stuff, and then all these different diagnoses will come up, and she'd be like, oh my God, sis, does he have this? Do you think he has that? I'm like, and I would have to let her. I'm like, stop trying to give my nephew all these different stop it. Number one, we're not going to speak that on him. Okay. And Google will have you every which way. Like, we're not going to, and I had to let her know, stay off of that. Please stop. Because for me, this is what I do for a living. I've seen kids that have had dire or situations that may not seem like, okay, I know what it looks like when a kid cannot, to go from not speaking and not having language and the process to them having language and starting to use their language. You don't have that experience. So it's very overwhelming for you. When I get kids that are in situations like this is what I do. So I know what it looks like. You don't, and you're going to drive yourself nuts by doing that. So please refer to a specialist. Please, parents that are on here, always refer to a specialist. I understand, we've got technology at our hands, and I'm not saying don't do research, but always do your research and refer to a specialist. That's what I'll say with that. Okay. Because it will have you, all the information that's out here will have you feeling, unsure where to start. Okay. All right. misconceptions about needing our next one, misconceptions about needing to be the expert. Okay. Goodness. Parents, I don't expect you to have all the information. I don't want you to have all the information, and I don't expect you to have all the information. And so please free yourself in knowing that you don't have to know everything. Okay? All right. Let's go to our next slide. So, how are we going to build confidence? And so I just kind of want to go back to talking about where I was working in a clinic and I started to see a high turnover. And what I started to notice, I really started to notice that a lot of the kids, they had severe cases. And it was the way that the clinic was ran was that every 30 minutes a new kid was coming. And it was like in, out, in, out. I never saw, when I first got there, I never saw clinicians, giving, talking with the parents or pulling them in the sessions. And so I just started thinking, like, some of these are younger parents, some of these are older parents. Like, if I'm bringing my kid to speech therapy and I'm not seeing a change in their speech and language, does that empower you as a parent? Do you feel like anything is no, right? So now in the case, if you're, I don't want to say in the case if they're young, but if I don't really feel that it's making a difference in my kid's life, if I got to go to a hair appointment or to a speech therapy appointment, where do you think that they're going to go? I'm talking about, I want us to take into consideration this generation, okay? All generations. That may not happen with grandma, okay? But that was definitely probably going to happen in cases where parents or like caregivers are much younger. They're not as educated. They haven't been provided with the information to know the importance of going to your services, right? And so if I'm bringing my kid constantly to speech therapy and I don't see that there's a change, or I don't know what's going on in the session, or I don't know what I can do, and then I go home and the situation is still the same, why am I going to speech therapy? You know what? If I got, I need to go someplace else, I'm gonna cancel. And that's what was happening. It was canceling, and these parents would come in and they would be extremely overwhelmed, you know, extremely overwhelmed, not knowing what to do with their kid, because what was happening was the kid would be in the session. Parents were never pulled in a session. There was never time, or that was just the way that particular clinic ran. But, I noticed that, and I remember when we had a meeting, I said, I think the reason why I want you to keep this in mind. I understand, and this is also for parents when you're choosing a clinic, okay? I understand that there's time and you're trying to get people in and get people out. But when you are, and we're going to go back to this word connection, when you build a connection and intimacy with those parents and those caregivers, meaning I'm going to show you how to do this. When you empower the parents on how to, on what you're doing, and even if it's one simple thing, even if it's, okay, this is the object that you're going to work on for the week. And then you come back and ask them how it went, that makes them commit more to going to the service, because they know, you know what? She cares. She cares so much that she's showing me how to do it. I mean, how many of you all can attest to, if one of my biggest sayings is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, why would I keep doing something that's broke? If it's not working, if I don't see anything from it, why would I keep on going? Right. And so that is what I brought to the owners. I brought it to her attention. I think that you need to have time, or you need to start, if you don't have time or create time within the schedule, then I think you need to be doing monthly parent trainings, and to help these parents, because what's happening is you're having a high turnover of parents, and these parents are stressed out because they don't know what to do with their kid because they're not in the session. They don't have to be in the entire session, but even after the session is over, there's no brief, this is what we did. This is what I need you to do. There is no here. Let me train you on this. There's no hand, none of this is happening, right? And so if I would be stressed out, I mean, you all know it's stressful as it is. When you have children that have special needs, or if you have a child that has difficulty communicating, it's very stressful. So why would I continue to take them to someplace if I don't feel that anything is happening? And I'm not saying that, oh, I have to see something but if I don't feel that my therapist even cares enough to show me what to do when I get home, if the skills are only staying here, the point is for the skills to leave the session, and for the parent to go home, and for to go home and to be able to use some of those skills at home so that there's carryover. So that's how we build the confidence of the parents. Once parents see that their kids are doing better, or not even just doing better, but once they see, what, this therapist cares not only about my child, they care about me, that they're showing, or this therapist is going the extra mile, right? Then you have their buy-in, and buy-in is so important, because once you have a parent's buy-in, then there's nothing that parent won't do that you're asking them to do, and then we'll be able to see greater progress and in our children. So how do we build that, right? Celebrate small wins. You guys heard me talk about, hey, you don't have to give them everything you did in the session. Focus on one thing a week, or not one thing a week, maybe too much. One thing for the month. If it's getting that parent to use a schedule, create the schedule and give it to them. Have the parent use the schedule not only in the session, but when they're dropping them off. Okay, that's the time where you show them, okay, mom, show her where we are on the schedule. We're at speech, and have that, have it on there, and, model for the parent what it is that they should be doing with the schedule. Okay, Billy, we're at speech. Point to speech. Oh, yep, speech time. There's associate. Oh, Dr. B with speech, and that icon, or that picture, I'm sorry, that's on the calendar, or that's on the schedule, and let them see how useful it is. And then when you get out of the session, okay, let's look at our schedule. What's next? Oh, we just had speech. What's next? And then if that kid points to what's next, or maybe even says it, do you know how much that's going to make empower the parent? They're going to see the use or the need of a schedule. And it's easier said than it is done, but you have to start somewhere, is what I'm saying. You have to start somewhere. We need the parents are so important, and we know that they are so important. Everything begins and ends with them. What we do is we have our kids for a small period of time. If you can get that parent to trust you, and you can build connection with that parent and buy in, you're going to see greater progress in your kids. Provide simple but clear instructions. Okay. So we said start with small wins. Provide simple and clear instructions. Don't give them too much. You see what I'm saying? It's already a lot. Schedules are there's already enough that's going on. Don't give them too much. If there's something that you're doing and there's a step 1, step 2, step 3, give them step 1 and step 2 and work on that until they have done that, and then go to step 3 and step 4. But we all know how it is when you're getting new information. See, we know speech therapy because we live and breathe and we assess it, and this is what we get paid to do. And so it's not a lot of information. But remember when we were first in school and we were getting trained to be speech therapists, how much of when we would get so much information and it was new information, we had to digest it, right? But after time, we kept getting the information and it was like second nature. Well, it's the same thing with our parents. The information is new to them. It's not familiar to them like it's familiar with us. So you're going to have to provide the same small instruction and do it multiple times until they, multiple sessions until they understand it. I love videos. I send my parents, that's something that is engaging. That's something you can text to their cell phone. Okay. You can send them, use visuals, use video demonstrations. I'm working on a kid with a CH, and I'll send them videos because sometimes, hey, they get it from me, but when they leave me, now what? Okay. There are tons of wonderful YouTube videos, different therapists. I mean, there's all types of things that you all can find online when it comes to providing a parent with something tangible that they can use when they get home that helps facilitate greater speech and language engagement with their child. But we live in a we live in a fast world. Everything is very fast paced, and so what I'm saying is this cell phone here, a nice little simple text here. This is for so and so. Please watch this. Straight and simple. Don't give them packets, and don't, just stay. I think sometimes less is more, when they say less is more, I mean less is more, less is best, excuse me. Okay? And that's what we want to just keep that in mind. So, Ms. Terry, you just got done talking about routines, and that was a great thing. Teaching them how to facilitate and foster greater speech and language engagement during daily routines, during the time they're brushing their teeth, during the times they're in the shower, when they're in the car. Okay? Those are all times you can build it into their routine. That works. Okay? Using play-based models. Giving them the instruction, modeling it for them, showing them how simple playing at home, okay, how they can do that, setting the table, okay, or even eating, showing them how you can foster greater speech and language, giving your children choices, okay. Sally, do you want a cookie or do you want a brownie? Okay, what is this? Oh, say this is, I want a cookie. I want a brownie. It's as simple as that. Okay. Prompt and pause. So encourage speech with gentle prompting and just allowing our kids to have time to respond. Okay. Not giving them the answer, but just waiting. And if you see that they need a little bit of help, give them the cue. But we have to be patient with our children. We have to give them time. They're not always going to respond as quickly. Okay. Reading together. Those are wonderful times, especially when they're getting ready to go to bed. Reading with the kids to help, these are all strategies, like I said, that you can show. These are very simple things that we can do to empower our parents, and letting the parents know the importance of their presence, being at speech of the parent. Like always, for me, I'm always taking everything back to you as the parent. Sally needs you to be able to reach their goals. If you don't do it, who's going to do it? Making them the star, right? The star in the play. They are the star. They are the star along with the child, because they're the star that's going to help their child gain greater gains. Okay. Functional words first. So focus on the words that you want that they use every day. So, okay. Here I have focus on high use words. More, go, help, no, stop, right? Think about the words that they use every day in their everyday routine, right? And focus on those high use words. If it's a matter of just associating gestures to those words, then doing that. But use those words to help facilitate greater speech. More, Oh, I want more. We all know how to, I mean, for those of us that are therapists, right? But these are strategies that do work, and these are ways that you can, things that you can do to help um, facilitate greater speech with your children. So, are there any questions so far? Comments?
I,
Okay.
I do have a comment. Usually they say stay away from, videos, but you talking about that now, that gives me it's a great idea for me to do in therapy, to give
Mm-hmm.
parents some videos so they'd be able to, help their child to communicate. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I use videos. I use videos. I use other people's videos. Listen, I feel like if it works, then use it. It may not work for somebody else, but if it's working for me, then go ahead and do it. Go ahead, Aya.
Hi, Sister Blessing. I do use
Hey.
I use
Mm-hmm.
videos of my kids because I work with, well, in my regular job, I work in middle school, and I use videos for them for the Arctic kids because
Yes.
I send it home with them. I send it to
Yes.
their parents, and it's speech
Absolutely.
therapy they could do at home. But I also
Mm-hmm.
use it with my babies because some of my parents might be working when I see them. They might be in daycare. So I give them a
Mm-hmm.
tidbit of what we can do. And
Mm-hmm.
I really love what you're saying to the parents because I have some parents signed on. And so I don't know, what do you have to say to the children that are speaking and that we're just fine tuning, honestly, because my kids, my little pre-K kids,
Mm-hmm.
I got little geniuses, so they're rocking it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you have to say to like for improving grammar? Like, what could we do to help their parents for improving grammar, for improving articulation? Because I'm going to tell you, I've been very blessed with my pre-K kids. Just about every family I have has been like just like went hard with everything. And so I just want to know, what do you have to say for them?
I would say for those type of kids, 5 minutes, hey, carve out, since they're doing so, carve out a specific time. This is our speech time. We got 5 minutes. Set that timer and make it a game. Make it a game and practice whatever that sound is, or whatever whatever the grammar target is. Practice it and make it 5 minutes and say, hey, if you can do this, there's a reward if you complete this. But I would definitely continue to empower that parent by telling them, okay, they're going, do more. you know I wouldn't say anything that's different. Model, if a child is producing speech in a manner that is not right, acceptable, or that is not right, continue to model. I think you that is the best, modeling how it is. And sometimes it's not. I'll have kids and they're doing that, and they'll say something wrong. Oh, do you mean? And I don't say, oh, that's wrong. I'll say, oh, you mean to say it like this. Okay. Find the areas that the kids are strong in, right? Start with those things and then go to the things that they're not, because you want them to have winnable opportunities. Okay. If a kid has difficulty producing a sound and they know that you don't want to just stick on that sound or stick on that particular thing the whole time. Start with something that they can do to build their confidence, and then move into what it is that's a little bit more challenging. But for those older kids, like you said, that they're rocking it out. This makes it easier, right? I would like to say that it would seem like it'd be an easier situation, but what I find works for me are timers and 5 minute games. And then as
Okay,
they're going
thank you.
throughout the day, as they're going throughout the day, you know what I mean? Reward them when you hear them. When you hear them do it right, reward them. And then bring them back. Oh, that's something that Dr. B is working with you in speech. Bring their attention to it. because they'll produce a target response and not even necessarily realize, because when that brain gets it and it starts doing it, and you just start seeing the kid like, oh my God, they're producing it. You don't know. We all know. We can't say exactly when it happened, right? But we know that they've been working on it. And so sometimes the kid will produce the target behavior and you're like, oh my gosh, they did it. Bring it to their attention. Oh yeah,
No, no.
that's
As
what you.
soon as my kids are even aware that they made the error, I'm like, you good to go, boo. Because as soon as you know that you made an error, you can later self-correct.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. 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 I hope
So
that
it's
kind of
just the
answered your question.
awareness. That's all I like to spark. Because I have like because I got a second hustle because my son's in private school.
Hmm.
So for my second hustle, I do the CPSE, the little kids.
Hmm.
As soon as they're aware that they made an error, I know that they'll be all right.
Hmm.
So
Because they're only 3 and 4 years old. Come on. If
Yeah,
you're
because
aware at
they can
3 and 4
correct
you
it.
made
They
an
can
error,
correct it.
yeah, if you're aware, oh, I said it
That's
wrong, then you
awesome.
know you're good to go.
Yep. You know that they're good to go because they know that awareness is, and so keep bringing their attention to it.
Norma Webster she had her hand up. Do you
Oh,
still
go
have
Okay,
ahead.
I'm
No.
gonna mute myself. Thank you.
do you still have a question, Norma?
Oh, you're on mute, hun.
I don't know why I can't do it on my own. Thank you. I had just two questions. The first question is, what is an in terms of ages? Because I noticed initially you said that you also did virtual speech. At what age do you think is appropriate to do that? I have a 3-year-old going on 4. She has speech in school, but come summertime she won't. And I'm wondering, and I found out that her speech therapist I had before is moving to another country. And I'm wondering if a virtual speech would work for her at that young age.
I think it depends on the child because
Okay.
I have some kids that are older and virtual speech is the virtual speech is just not a good fit for them. I think it just
Okay.
depends on the child and the situation. But I do have
Okay.
kids that are in pre-K, and
Hmm.
I do have other colleagues that do speech with parents when the kids are even 2 years old
Oh,
virtually.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But a
Okay.
lot of the training goes with the parents.
Hmm.
Yeah, the kid
Okay.
is there. Not saying that the kid is not there, but a lot of it, when it's like that, a lot of it, because the kid is 2 years old. So a lot of it is, you have to have the kid there and you're giving the parents a lot of instructions on what to look for, on how they're going to
Hmm.
be doing it. And, you're telling the parent, okay, um, you know, uh, I want you to say, a, B, and C and say it to the child, and then you're coaching the kid basically. I mean, not the kid, excuse me. You're coaching the parent basically on what they're
Hmm.
going to be, what you would be doing, and so
Hmm.
they have to have the child. And I haven't done it at that young. I think my youngest have been 3 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I do have colleagues that have 2-year-old kids. So, and then what was your second question?
My second question is, it's so interesting that the other speech therapist was saying how her classroom is rock stars. So my daughter is in a classroom where they're all rock stars as well, but she's not the rock star in terms of her level of speech. And one of the things that I'm noticing with her is that she doesn't initiate speech. Do you have any tools on how I can teach? I know you said modeling, but how do I get her to like initiate speech? Because now, like when she comes home from school, she's so used to like the same question that I have that she's responding to the question and not even necessarily listening to what I have to say. I'll say, "How was your day?" And she thinks that I'm asking, "Who did I play with?" So she constantly just responds to the question as opposed to like waiting for me to say something and then responding. And again, they said to me in class that she doesn't go up to a kid and say, "Can I play?" She doesn't go up, Sophie, Sophia, stop, stop. I'm so sorry. She doesn't like necessarily go up and try to initiate speech with someone else. So that's what I was wondering if there's any way a parent can kind of learn that skill. Thank you.
when you're asking her, maybe I would rephrase it. Tell me about today. Does she use tell me about school? Give her choices. Did you play? Did you do any coloring? If she's not at the level to where she can, you're going to have to kind of help her, you know. And then some of that goes with asking the teacher kind of what they did, so you'll be able to kind of give her the options, snack time. Tell me about snack time. Did you have apple? Which one do you like? You like red apple? Do you like yellow banana? Okay. And so make it tangible. If she doesn't initiate it, you're going to have to do a little bit, but using props, using props and asking her if she can't get it, giving her the verbal cue or having her point to it. Oh, mommy likes apple. Do you like apple? Yes. No, no. And so those are, remember how we talked about simple and not very much instruction? That also goes for the kids as well. Try to make it very, which it's all in, I think, how you preference it, and then try to make the instruction simple for her, right? Don't give her too much, but I would stay away from the yes or no, right? And I mean, some things are going to be yes or no, but, um, you know, presenting it in a way to where she's just not going to give you a closed-end answer. If you see what I'm saying, tell me about who'd you play with. You would have to know her. You'd have to know her friends, or you would have to know her friends for her to be able to. I guess you don't have to, but tell me about playtime. Playtime, did you have playtime? Yes. No, but those are different ways that I would say. And if she doesn't initiate conversation at the school, like you said, that the teacher said she doesn't initiate conversation, then that's something that you're going to have to model for her at home more. Okay. And that's why, like, that's all part of why we're having this conversation, right? And empowering you on how to, do this. But next time maybe you're with family, or taking her with you by the hand. Oh, let's say hi to grandma. Let's say hi oh, hi grandma, making sure she's seeing your face. And if she can't say the hi, make sure you help her with her hand and, hi grandma. Oh, let's go say hi, let's go say hi to everybody. Okay, your turn, say hi, and it's not as simple as I'm saying it, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Okay. All right. Does anybody else want to give Norma some tips?
Yeah, you might, sometimes children might have difficulty comprehending what's being said to them because they might have a limited vocabulary. So you might want to expand more on her vocabulary. That could be through picture books, that could be through, picture cards. A lot of children, they like kind of like sensory. So you could get those cards, like first word cards that have like textures on it. Like a dog has fur, you can feel the fur. Those types of cards you could probably get on Amazon. And it's like 9.99 for it. And when you have increased vocabulary, then the children begin to understand more and say more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and sensory books too. You might want to get some sensory books. I hope that helps. I hope that helps, Norma.
Okay. Let's see. So coaching parents versus instructing parents. And my biggest thing is, you know, um, you we can give somebody an instruction and say, hey, go to the bathroom. But it's totally different when you have somebody that's consistently that's showing you how to do it, someone that's giving you feedback on how you did it, not only how you did it, but the best way to do it. And so a coach is going to constantly cheer you on and encourage you until you're able to get whatever it is that you need to get, right? And so I look at it as simple as that. That's the difference between coaching parents and instructing parents. When you instruct them, you just give it to them one time, or you're not constantly following through. You're not asking for feedback for them so that you can help them on how to better achieve whatever it is. We want to make sure that we're coaching our parents and not just instructing them. Okay. So like we said, model, demonstrate the technique, practice, let the parent try with your support. Okay, in front of you. Feedback. Give them positive or specific feedback on what it is. I played basketball, right? And part of basketball or part of sports is getting feedback on how you did. Okay. And then you go back and the feedback, I love it because it's data, right? It tells you information, and then you reflect what worked, what didn't work. And once you hear what worked, what didn't work, then us as clinicians, we can tweak whatever, whatever the task is, right? And so that's the main difference between coaching and parenting. Coaching parents and instructing parents. We don't want to just instruct them, right? That's so impersonal. That's so it's less inviting. Okay. It's less you're going to get less buy-in. Okay. And a coach stick is if you think about it in a manner of just sports or whatever, when you have a coach, you're trying to reach a goal. A coach is always there with you, cheering you on, showing you, and just like I said. And so that's what we need to be to our parents. Okay. Coaches are with you, and I just want to add this. They're with you with your wins, and they're with you with your losses. Okay, they're sticking it out to the long haul. So let's encouraging a growth mindset. Okay, reframe mistakes as learning moments. Okay, I always say this. There's no L's. To take the L. I tell my teenagers when I'm working with them, take the L, take the lesson. Okay, and so when we say, oh, you took the L, you took the lesson. Forget about the mistake. What are you learning from whatever it is that that didn't work? There's always something to learn. Making sure that you're praising them for what they're doing. Okay. Keeping a tone of light. Okay. Keeping the tone light, keeping everything fun, and encouraging them, and just using positive affirmations. And then creating a partnership. Okay. We want to make sure that we are collaborating on goals. So you just don't want to always ask my parents, is there something that a goal that you want to work on? I always ask my parents because they feel empowered, and maybe there's something at home that's going on that that they want me to work on that's going to make life easier for them. So collaborate with the goals. Ask the parents for the input. Okay. Offer check-ins. And this, when I was, this is something that I did with, that I gave the suggestion when I was working at the clinic. I didn't work there much longer because they weren't willing to change. But, when you're offering, if you can't get that training time during the session, then make sure that you're carving in time within the month. Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's a virtual 5-minute instruction or 10-minute instruction, have multiple parents on there. Okay, have that and take note of that. And so that'll help you on where to go for the next time that you do a training session. It's a team effort. Like I said, it's just not the child. It's not just the parent. It's you. Okay. The parent needs, we're there for the child, right? The parent needs the child, right? And the child needs the parent and the therapist. So it's definitely a team effort. And then our takeaways. So consistency is more important than perfection. I cannot stress this enough. It's very rare that I work with a kid that they get something always on the first try, especially when you're dealing with kids that have more severe nature diagnosis. But stick at it. I've seen kids that, like, my goodness, I've been working on this. I've been working on this for months, and then they get it. At least you're 2 steps. If you keep working on it, you're closer to achieving the task. But if you don't work on it, then you're just that much further away from the goal. Small wins add up. So I'll say that. Empowerment begins with encouragement. You know, everyone wants to know that they're doing something right, or that they're on their way to whatever it is that they're doing. And so we can build our children's confidence, our parents' confidence, when we're encouraging them, when we're being uplifting, when we're saying, hey, I see that you saw this, taking note, being aware of the fact that, hey, they are doing their homework. Hey, they are following through. Hey, you know what? I saw that you're using the schedule. Good job. Taking note of those things, encouraging them to keep doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Okay. The good things that they're doing, and keep encouraging them to do it, and encouraging them not just to do it, but you doing this is helping your child to achieve their goal. I already spoke on every little bit of practice helps. And then I just want to encourage the parents that you have it, keep the connection with your speech therapist. Keep the connection, not just with your speech therapist. Keep your, keep your connections with the other people that are part of your village. Okay, keep that communication line open. And then always just ask for help. Like, you don't have to. I always tell you don't have to know everything. So just kind of relieve yourself. You're not the expert anyway, right? So you don't have to know everything, but your job is to advocate and to help. But relieve yourself take a break from thinking you have to know everything, and know that sometimes we do make decisions. And hey, I thought this was going to be the best thing for my child, but it wasn't. You can always pivot. You know, you can always pivot. And it's okay. It's okay not to know everything. That's why you have a therapist. They don't know everything either. We don't know everything either, right? And so just, take that stress off of your shoulders and know that you're not going to do everything perfect. But I think the thing is that you're reaching out to people that can help you, that have the resources. So just always keep that in mind. And then to the clinicians, the best thing that you can ever do, I think, is empower your child, because they are truly the link. The parent. Of course, we're going to parent the children, but that parent or that caregiver really is that link that we need to get, that can get us the progress that the child needs, because they are the ones that are going to follow up and follow through with whatever you're doing. The point is not just to do this in speech. It's to go out into the world, or go out into and go out and use your communication so that you can function better and have a better quality of life. And so the more that we can empower and let the parents know how important they are, it's what they do as a parent that's really going to help the child. Yes, I'm helping them, but you see them way more. Once we can empower and they can grasp that concept, I think that we'll have better buy-in. And that's what I've talked with one of my friends, some of my friends that I have talked to about this, about building in time. Maybe you can't do it during the session, but maybe you can put kids and parents in groups together and do 10-minute, training sessions after the fact. This is going to, okay, a lot of times they'll look at productivity. Hey, this may take away from this, but in the long haul, you'll see better improvement overall business-wise as well.